Welcome to Unapologetic and Free.
I'm Shar.
I'm Lakia
We're sisters by blood.
and friends by choice. Hey,
Hey,
y'all.
hey,
Hey,
everybody.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are back. Man, I'm proud of us. I want to open by saying I'm proud of us, y'all. We've been on a roll. We be going MIA. We'll come strong, but we've been on a roll. So y'all just pray that we keep these topics coming. But I don't want to be remiss. We do have a guest with us today. So we do always want to acknowledge our guests and just give you a chance to introduce yourself. And after you introduce yourself, go ahead and tell us, what are you watching?
That's right.
hi, I'm Felicia. I don't know what else you want to know, but I'm just Felicia. What I've been watching, well, what I watched yesterday is Power Raising Canaan. Like, that's my show. I have to tune in the day before, not the day before. That and Sisters has my attention.
Oh
And
my
I'm waiting
God.
on Zatima to start back up.
Now, I watch the Powers, but I cannot get into the Raising Canaan. So I watch Power one, two, uh, four, because four is with Tommy, two is with Tariq. But I,
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I can't.
I stopped watching after Ghost died. It
You
lost
gotta
me
keep
after that.
going. It took me a while to get into Raising Canaan because at first I was like, I'm not feeling this at all. Like I don't like rock. I don't no. But I just can't. I don't know. My kids they kept calling was like, Mama, did you watch it? Mama, did you watch it? And I was like, I'll go back and watch it. And then every time I would go back and watch it, I'd be like, oh, this is good. So now I'm hooked.
What is it on? What do you watch it on?
On Hulu. It's on Hulu,
or
but it's
stars.
through Stars.
Okay, okay. So, sister, second time we've heard that. I can't say anything good or bad. I've never watched one episode, so I have no idea what the concept is. I'm just certain things with Tyler Perry just kind of turns me off. So I just have never had any interest. But as I look for things, sometimes I'm looking for things just to binge watch. I'll keep that in like my back memory bank. That might be something I want to binge watch.
I watched all the way up to the second season of Sisters, and then I just and that was because I was in China, and again, I didn't have nothing really, so I was like, okay, let me get into this. But then once I came back to the U.S., it's like nah. I have access to all kind of stuff now, so
Yeah. I
So I
think how
could
I got hooked on Sisters is when my son was in the hospital. Like we, of course, you just have hospital TV to watch, and we just ended up watching it one day, and we was like, "Oh, this is kind of good." So then we had to like it was good enough for us to get like a BET Plus subscription,
that's the
binge
other
watch
thing.
to catch up to where they was, and then we was after that we was hooked. It was like, "Did you watch it? Don't you watch it without me?" Oh, you
Oh
watched it
Lord,
without me.
can't do it.
So
I think that's the other thing. I don't want to get another subscription, but I
you get
couldn't
30
remember the
days
name of
free
the
with
show.
BET Plus.
Huh?
You get a 30 days free
Oh,
BET
how
Plus
much can I binge
subscription.
watch in 30 days?
The whole all of it.
Oh, I don't know.
If
I
you
don't think
want
I had that
to.
much time, but so I am watching on Paramount Plus. It's called The Good Fight. It's a lawyer show, so it's like a law firm. It's different lawyers and they take different cases, so it's just following the different episodes. They have their little storylines within the law firm, but it's mostly kind of like just watching the different cases that come up. And it's women lawyers, men lawyers, and so again, I just stumbled upon it on Paramount Plus, and then I was like, okay, I think I like this, and then I messed around and introduced it to James and was like, oh, okay, you should watch this. And he watched one or two episodes, and now he been hooked, and he didn't pass me up, and so
Oh,
I'm like, he broke the code. How you said, oh,
yeah.
don't watch it without me. No, James don't operate like that. So it's almost
Mm,
like, man, why I tell him about this show? So
yeah.
that's the most recent thing that I have been watching, called The Good Fight.
so for me, I'm watching 1,000 Pound Sisters on TLC. And when I went back to Vegas in December for Christmas, my son got me hooked on this anime series now, One Piece. And so that's what I've been watching. And so they have like 1,000 episodes, and I'm on like 143. But they're like short
Yeah.
episodes, which, you can end up watching it pretty quick. So that's
What does
out.
what does the one piece mean? Is it one piece of chicken? A one I mean, I don't get it. What is the one piece? Or is it
So
not appropriate to say on the show?
no, I nobody knows what the One Piece is. So they're a bunch of pirates looking
Oh,
for the One Piece. So we can just kind
Oh,
of infer that it could
some
be
treasure.
anything. So when I was
so it could
talking
be a one
to,
piece of chicken.
it could be because one of the main characters eat a lot. So it could. It really could. So when I was talking to Trey about it, my oldest son, he was saying, he believes that the One Piece is just the journey of people going to try to find this One Piece. And so you never actually, and he's watched it from day one. He's like, it's already 1,000 episodes, but no one has found the One Piece. So he
Oh, I
believes.
get it too, as you're saying piece, like artwork piece, some piece that they're like an item that they're looking for. That kind of makes sense. Not enough for me to want to watch it, but makes sense what one piece could be. So
I just
all
can't do
right,
the
so
anime.
we are here today to talk about mistakes we made as parents. And just the disclaimer too is we grading ourselves. So it's just a matter of I feel like in life as parents, whether you have old kids, young kids, hindsight is 2020, right? So there's some things, right, where you can look and say, okay, yeah, I ain't do
This
that
is
right.
on that one.
Like, I
Yeah.
ain't do that right. I did not do that right. And so anybody want to jump in and just start with what is something or a mistake you know or you think you made as a parent?
So I'll go and I'll just start with the age of my kids. So my kids are, oh, Jesus.
Trick question.
Wait,
Okay, so
mistakes I
Trey is,
made. I don't know how old my kids are.
man. So Trey is 28 and he'll actually be 29 this year because I remember him laughing and joking, saying, "Oh, I'm going to be 29 this year." And I said, "Well, that makes me 49 this year." Then my youngest is 24, I think.
Yes, because
Yeah, 24,
Kamaya's yeah,
24.
because Kamaya's 23.
I'm like,
I
yeah, so
mean,
he'll be
yeah, she's turning
25 this
24.
year. So even right there, not remembering my kids' age difference is a mistake. But I know for one, for some mistakes, and I look back on them now, is the generational curse of parenting the way that you were
Mhm.
parenting,
Mm,
and whoopings. So I'm like whoopings, but I some of them I can honestly say probably wasn't. It was more than maybe borderline abuse. So
okay.
the way that I handled the discipline was not very well.
Okay. I like it. I like it.
I can agree with
Mistakes
that.
we made. Felicia?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I know growing up, my parents did a lot of stuff that I didn't like, so I was very hell bent on I'm not gonna be like them. I don't want to do it like them. But then you got my own kids and ended up kind of being a little extra than them. So that
Yes,
discipline for sure, I know like a whole lot of them whoopings them kids probably didn't need it. They probably just really needed like some just redirection. But
hmm
I had four boys. I'm not gonna even try to remember ages because we're not gonna do it. Well, I'm good right now. So it's 25, 22, 17, 14, and then the 2 year old. So I know with my boys, like just because the fact that they were boys, I was extra hard on them. Like you didn't have no room for error
You know
at
what? And I
all.
think that too, because I
Like
have two boys.
Yeah.
I didn't leave room for error just because of the fact like I saw too much. I saw how it go when you don't have enough discipline. Like,
Hmm
nope, you're not finna go to jail. You're not finna be on these streets selling drugs. You're not finna be like none of that. I don't want none of that. You're not cutting up at school. I was the one you gonna cut up at school. I'm going to the school with my belt in hand and
That's
told the
right.
security guard, if you don't want to see something, I suggest you turn around and walk off. Like
That's right.
but looking back, like that was a lot of that was just me doing stuff out of fear, like not wanting them to do stuff and not even allowing them to like make mistakes and learn from them.
I
Like,
Yeah,
agree.
those
I
whoopings.
agree.
And for me, when I think about the mistakes of those whoopings, it was because a lot of those whoopings was out of anger, right? And they say,
yeah,
oh, don't whoop your kids when you're mad. Don't whoop your kids out of anger, right? And so even in the whooping part of feeling like knowing some of them whoopings was a little bit too extra
Hmm.
because hard to separate, right? Yes, you
yeah,
got in trouble. I might be mad about something else, but now
Yeah.
you got in trouble and now you not listening, right? Or you doing something that you're not supposed to do. And so now I'm whooping you. And I'm just going to also say, once you get up and where you're saved and you're in the church, and then they teach you to spare the rod, spoil the child, and the rod of correction, and all of these things that even as I'm talking about mistakes, even through that part of
We
using the
overdo it.
rod of correction incorrectly, right? And
yeah,
Yes,
using
yes.
that more as an abuse tool and mistakes we made. I mean, in this unpopular opinion, as we talk about that, letting other people whoop my kids and using that rod of correction to say it's okay for somebody else to whoop my kids.
no, that ain't
Mistakes
okay
I
with me.
made,
Those
not
were
Mm-mm.
mistakes I made
allowing
as
that.
well. But then I
I,
also feel like even with that, allowing if if you allow your child to come to my house, then I'm going to treat your child like I treat my own kids. So if I'm whooping mine, I'm whooping yours. If I can't discipline yours, don't have them around me.
I
You know
get
what I'm
that.
saying?
that's
I'm
true.
talking about from a sense of like I send my kid to a particular school, and part of their discipline
Oh,
is rod correction and
okay.
letting somebody whoop my kids. Or maybe you take them to a daycare, child care center or somewhere, and you allow somebody else to whoop them. That I get where, okay, and even that you got to be careful. But I
Yeah.
get, okay, you're at my house and your parent has given me the permission because y'all did something wrong. That's different than me just allowing, like I said, in a setting where I'm not there. But then I remember when I was in school, they had this thing called the paddle. And when I was
Ooh,
at school, I remember getting paddled at school. So it was almost, we talking about generational curse. You started with that. So it was almost like, well, my parents allowed this school to paddle me. So I didn't think it was wrong to let said school paddle or discipline, right? And so just again, mistakes, I would not do that. That's definitely a mistake that I made.
yeah, I didn't like that pedal thing. I constantly got popped in music class with that big old stick. I didn't like that. So no, that wasn't an
Right.
option for mine at
Or the
school.
ruler across
Yeah.
the
And I even had
hand.
a teacher that whooped me with a belt. Like, nope. So that was a big no go for me with schools. Like certain people okay, but even then I'm still kind of mm,
Mhm.
iffy about it just because like I have to really know you for you to be able to discipline my child like that with physical discipline.
I agree.
Okay.
So something mistake I made as a parent, I want to say, again, unpopular opinion, but putting my partner, I'm not talking about my spouse, I'm talking about a partner, a boyfriend, before my kids, and caring for the needs and wanting to be concerned about this boyfriend, whether it was a boyfriend, whether I thought I was going to be with this person, but putting that man over the needs of my child in a sense of, again, not just making sure my kid was right and doing things, we've done it, right? And I'm not saying everybody's done it, but y'all know what I'm saying,
Right.
mistakes we made about making it about the man and not making it about the child, right? Up
Mhm.
until, I believe, right, the order, once you get married there's an order, but I'm talking about, again, in a relationship when you have kids already and then you're dating somebody, but you're putting all your time and effort and thoughts and concerns on what's best for this person and not really
Versus.
considering what was in the best interest of the child. So case in point, for me, right, being in a relationship where at the time I only had one child, and I never said, so she'll be 24 this year, and then I have a 14-year-old. So I waited 10 years, y'all. I had one, and then I waited 10 years, and then had another one. So totally different parenting styles and different mistakes at different times. But said that to say, again, having my one child, but not thinking and not putting the needs of my one child at the time, but in considering what this other person and his kids needed, and not so much really thinking about what my own child did, because I'm looking at, oh, I'm gonna marry this man. Maybe that was at that time, we're gonna get married, we gotta live together, and so I'm trying to do to please you, and really didn't. I should have rethought that and really put the needs of my child to make sure that I was doing what was in the best interest for her.
Okay, okay.
That's good.
As you were talking, I was sitting here thinking, okay, something else that I did wrong in parenting too, and it crossed my mind. So after the disciplining, right, and in disciplining, so say I didn't use physical discipline, right? I grounded. Okay, you grounded. I was setting unrealistic for grounding. I'm grounding you for 30 days. For what? Like, no. It's and now that I know, it's like, okay, grounding you for 30 days really didn't change the behavior, or if it or didn't, it just, so, or taking things from them. Okay, you ain't watching TV for 30 days or whatever. That was unrealistic. And so I'm like, why did you do that? Like, that wasn't cool. Or, okay, you don't want to make your bed. All right, then I'm going to take the bed. Stuff like that. Like, I'm going to prevent you from, because you don't appreciate or understand. So, okay, I'm going to take it from you. And then you just, my oldest son will be like, okay, I'll sleep on the floor. I'm cool. So, oh, I take the TV. Okay, well, I have an imagination. I can create stuff in my mind. And I'm like, no, that's not how that was supposed to work.
Right.
Yeah, that's funny. I'll sleep on the floor. That sounds like one of mine. Um, I was just thinking when Lakia was talking about putting the man before the kids. Mine, I would say, is this a little bit similar to that, but I was actually married at that time, and so how I definitely know, like major mistake. I'm talking about like major biggest mistake to me anyway was putting, even though he was my husband, and it to a certain, to me, in my opinion, to a certain extent, yes, the husband does come, husband, wife, then kids. However, when the husband is not mature enough to understand that I can't just focus on you 100% of the time, like at some point in time, I have to take care of these kids. Like the kids have to be a focal point for me. Then that's an issue, because then now I'm being pulled. Do I focus over here? Do I focus over here? And at that time, I was young, and so I didn't really know how to balance being a wife and a mother. And because I didn't know how to balance that, it was like, okay, well, I gotta be a wife. Like I gotta make sure he got what he need. I gotta do this, I gotta do that. And then doing that, like I ended up letting my children go stay with my mother and my father. And that was only supposed to be like until we got ourselves, till we got our stuff together. But until we got our stuff together, ended up being they grown now. So,
Mm.
and like that, to me, that was like a big mistake. And so now when I did date or whatever, like I made that perfectly clear. Like, listen, I have children. My relationship with my children is very important to me. Like those are the people that I brought here, so I'm responsible for them. Like I'm gonna always be their mother. If they need me, if I'm able to, I'm gonna help them. So if that's gonna be an issue for you, then let's just not even go any further, because I have these kids, and I won't put a man before my kids again. Like I won't, or be put in a position where I feel like I have to make a choice. Because if I have to make a choice,
That's right. I agree.
unpopular opinion, as Kia
Right,
says, I'm gonna choose my kids. Like, and
right.
that's that. And like, again, that's very, very unpopular opinion. But those are that's just me. Like, I
Right.
wouldn't be able to put my children through that experience again.
Yeah.
And I think that that should be a part of premarital counseling when you have kids already. That's what blended family is, right? And
Mhm.
yes, we understand the order, but I believe even with that order is when you have natural kids. That's like husband and wife first, then y'all have kids together. But I feel like when the kids are already there, you can't, like you said, just go right in and say, okay, this is the order. Now my kids are on the bot. It's a process that I feel like,
Yeah.
and then like you said, you've got to have a mature enough person. Both
Yeah.
people have to be mature because even as on the woman, we have to be able to be mature enough to know when, right,
Right.
to
Mhm.
find and how to find the balance. And I don't know that that's something that can be taught, right? Like some of this stuff you got to just go through it, but you got to be mature, right? You got to have those boundaries, right? I
Right.
think boundaries are important even in that, to make sure, okay, I shouldn't have to choose, so I'm telling you up front, right? But again, it's just being able to gradually work our way up to that order when
Yeah.
you already have kids.
Yeah.
And it's the transparency of it because then you're giving that person the option to say, yes, I'm cool with it. No, I'm not cool with it. Versus you're not being transparent. And then you enter in, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh no, my kids are coming before you, and blah, blah, blah. But if you're upfront, you give that person the opportunity to be like, okay, yeah, okay, so ahead of time conversation. How are we going to navigate this?
Right.
Or what does that look like?
Yes. I feel like another mistake I made was not talking to my daughter. I purpose now to talk more to my 14-year-old, but with my oldest, not talking to her and just really asking questions and really having a conversation. I don't believe in being your child's friend, but I do believe in having a healthy relationship. And through healthy relationships, we can have conversations. Through that healthy relationship, right? We build trust. We build this relationship where you can come to me. But I never asked the question. So mistake I made is I never asked questions about how are you feeling? What are your thoughts today? What's going on at school? It was just when them grades is bad. Oh, now I want to talk, right? Mistakes we
Yeah.
made. Oh, I want to talk to you when the grades are bad, but I wasn't talking when the grades were good, right? I wasn't talking about what's the homework, what are you learning in class, right? Things like that. Do you like boys? Do you like girls, right? It's just those things were kind of shunned, like, oh, I don't want to talk about it because what if she's say something I don't want to hear?
Yeah.
Fear, right? Even in that, the fear of not wanting to ask because I don't know what they're going to say. And I'm grateful now. I know it's mistakes we made, but I'm grateful now that she's older that we had a chance to build a healthy relationship. And now she's calling and saying, hey, I just need to talk about this life decision that I need to make, or I'm making a life decision and I want to talk to you about it. I want to, not getting my approval, but again, the healthy
Just
part
talking.
of having a talk, a
Seeking
conversation.
counsel. And yeah,
Yes. And what she's learned and we've learned through her just sharing her life experiences, I do know a little bit, contrary to what parents don't know nothing. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about, right? There's advice that I've been able to give her
Yeah.
where she's been able to say, oh, I didn't even think about that. Oh, I didn't know I needed to do that. Right. But that's from us talking and from me
Yeah.
being finally having an opportunity to say, hey, I'm here. No judgment. It's hard to not judge your kids and not want to correct them at
Yeah.
whatever
mhm,
age they are,
at
right?
whatever
But
age.
that's what it took for me
Ever.
to be able to just talk and to not judge whatever. That didn't stop me from praying. And again, I say that too to say it didn't stop me from praying. I'm not saying I agree with everything she shared with me and everything she
Mhm,
did, but the fact that we built a relationship where we could talk about it. So that was one
right.
the other mistake I feel like I made, not talking to my kid.
And I agree with that because even I think about how we were raised. Children didn't have a voice. You
Hmm.
you did it because I said it, and and granted, I know I used to be like, but why though? In my mind, I'm like,
Yeah.
but why though? And why is that? And even with me talking with my older son, you know what I'm saying? And being in school, being a teacher, being around teenagers, and starting to realize when they would say like, "Oh, I'm tired." Oh, well, what you got to be tired from? Or, "Oh, I'm stressed." What you got to be
What you
stressed about?
stressed about?
But there's different forms of stress for them,
Yeah.
not the same. as stress for us. And being in a high school, I'm like, oh my God, I missed it. Like how many, my older son, he's like, I had some problems I was going through and I didn't know like who to talk to. And I'm like, but you could, so give me an example. My children are mixed. So he was like, the black kids, I said I wasn't black enough. The white kids said I wasn't white enough. He's like, who do you think accepted me? And I was like, I don't know. He was like, the Mexican kids, the Hispanics kids, or I was just by myself. And so I didn't know how to, he goes, it wasn't until like maybe my junior year, which I remember that he started talking to me. And then that's when I was kind of like, well, he's like, well, they don't want to be. And I'm like, it's their loss because they're not wanting to take the time to get to know you because you're an amazing person.
Yeah.
And then him telling me, oh, I was depressed. Oh, you were? Like, I didn't know that, I'd have never guessed it or thought it. But again, it was, you do what I say, not as I do. You don't have a
Don't
voice
ask
till you
questions,
move
right?
out of my
Yeah.
house. Right. You don't ask questions. And I
I
missed.
think I think for me, especially with my older two boys, I was a complete opposite. Like my when I grew up, my parents they talked to me about nothing. Like no sex talk, no boy talk, no talk, no nothing. Like I everything learned, I learned on my own from friends. The closest thing to a sex talk that I had was my dad telling me, "Oh, so you need to keep some condoms in your purse because you never know what might happen." Like that was the closest thing to a sex talk that I had. Like a female talk, the closest thing to a female talk that I had with my mom was, "Oh, you started? Why didn't you call me?" Girl, I didn't even know what was going on. Like now I'm supposed to call you and tell you something that I don't really know except for what they taught at school, and I don't
Right.
even know like, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to call you. So I made like that was one thing that I always wanted to make sure of, like that my kids always know, like no matter what it is, like my door is open, and like I literally keep my door open, like for literally, like if you see my door open, like come in, even if it's closed, like I'm still not gonna close it all the way. I will leave it cracked. Like my door is always open, so no matter what it is, like come and talk to me. And then as the more that they got into sports, like I know how it was in high school and in middle school with people that was in sports, so I always honed in on them, like, okay, look, you a basketball player, you an
Mm-hmm.
athlete, so you need to watch out for these, I always said D chasers, that was in my prior days. I would always tell them, y'all need to watch out for these kind of girls because these girls, they just out for one thing. Like, and they'd be like, what are you talking about? Okay, come on, let's sit down and let's talk about this. See, they're gonna try to do this, they're gonna tell you this, they're gonna do all of this just so they can end up pregnant. And then if you go off and be something, then boom, they got a meal. Like, stay away from them kind. Like, and I was always like, if they on the phone, FaceTime, who you talking to? Hey, if the girl don't stand at the back, you need to hang up with her because she rude. She don't like to talk, disrespectful. Hang up that phone right now. But
That's
just
funny.
about, and even with their friends, like they friends already knew, like, mama, please don't say nothing. No, I'm gonna say something, like, but that was just how I wanted it to be because I'd rather you come and tell me what's going on than me having to find out some type of tragic way or whatever. And even my oldest, like I knew about his first heartbreak, like the little parties and stuff that they would go to. Yes, I was up in them parties right there with him up on the wall, looking, paying attention to what's going on. Mama, you can leave. I leave in a minute or whatever. But I always wanted to keep those doors open and like explain to them, even talks that they didn't want to have. They'd be like, I don't want to know this. Too bad you gonna know it. Let's look at these pictures of all of this stuff that comes from y'all want to kiss these little girls. Like,
Huh.
like I was very raw with them about what it is. Like, no, I didn't sugarcoat it for them, and I still don't. And I think where the mistake came in with the next set of teenagers that I have is I expected them to have the same type of reaction and receptiveness to it as the older two. Because the
Mm.
older two, like they love that type of stuff. Like, oh, mama gonna tell us straight up what it is, what it ain't. She gonna or whatever. But the other two, they're not like that. They're more like,
Reserved.
and they always say, I don't want to tell you because you gonna go extra, mama. You gonna do extra with it. And I'm like, what you mean I'm gonna do extra? They was like, you gonna blow up. You gonna be like, oh my god, oh my god. And I'm like, yeah, but that don't mean don't tell me. And so
Right,
my
right.
oldest son was like, mama, you can't do them like how you do us. You have to like learn how to just sit and don't have no type of reaction. And I'm like, what? I can't. So I'll be like, so I'm trying to learn how to talk with them, be open with them. That right there, that part, that don't make no facial expression with
Okay.
it, but that's something that's hard for me to do. But I try, and when they're ready to talk, then I definitely do listen. And even with how we talk about disciplining and how our parents were, how we didn't have a voice. My older children, they couldn't have no voice. Like they could, but if you was in trouble, if I'm talking, you be quiet. You don't say nothing. You don't question me. You don't know what I say goes. And my teenagers now, they're like the total opposite. Like, why we have to do that? Why do I need to do that? And so I find myself like be wanting to like, you heard what I said, but then I'm like, I can't be like that. I need to explain to them why I'm telling them this,
Mhm.
why this needs to be that way. Because again, I don't want to push off how it was for me onto them. I'm trying to do something different just so they know that they do have a voice. And I do notice that a lot of days, like especially talking to my oldest son, like he feels like men, boys, feel like sometimes they don't have nobody to talk to, or they're looking for a girlfriend or whoever, a mate, but it's hard to find because we don't listen. Like they start talking, we want to talk and tell them like, oh well, you can do this, you can do that, you can do this, you can do that, you can do this, and I don't want them to have that. I want them to know like it's really people out there that can, you can talk to them and
That's
they'll
right.
listen without the judgment, without the
Yeah.
So I have a question. So do they talk to your older boys
they do.
for that type of,
Yeah, most definitely.
that's
And
cool.
then like sometimes my older, depending on what it is, then like the older boys, they'll come and they'll be like, I'll be like, Mama, you probably need to go talk to them about this, or find out why they feel like this, or find out why they like this. So it's kind
I
of a
like
little
that.
buffer between
I
us. So
like that.
Yeah.
it
I,
works most of the
I
time.
let I let my 14-year have a say. I find myself though in mistakes we make is that quick shutdown. In those
Yeah.
times when it's just is what it is, like not spending that time. It's just because I said so, right? Like when those
Mm-hmm.
questions come, well, why do I have to do this? What? And again, depending on where I'm at, when my mood is just because I said so. And then I'll be convicted and then I'll go back and say, okay, so this is why, blah, blah, blah. Like, forgive me because I was upset or I took it out on you or whatever it is. But let's talk about it. This is why. Or, asking questions. And my sister helped me with this with him is because she asked him what's something that went well about your day, right? What's something that didn't. So at first he used to just say good. And she's like, what's good about it? What was, oh, bad, what's bad about it? So again, opening up that line,
Yeah.
right? So they can learn that it is a safe space, that you can share. You need to know why so they can learn how to communicate.
And then he does. He's good at this. He'll send me a message and he'll be like, Aunt Charnay. And I'll be like, yes, nephew. He go, can I call you and ask you a question? Yes, nephew. So he'll call me and he'll say, Aunt Charnay, why is it that adults, because I don't know, he may say that when he come home, but I don't want to, discuss what he may knowing Jaden, he probably gonna say, ask, the question, whatever. He'd be like, and how come this and da da da? And I'm like, And I just laughed.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my God, there's no way when I was your age, I would have been able to even think about calling another
Yeah.
adult to even say or ask those questions.
Hey,
So the
sister
fact,
girl. So, speaking of sister girl, since you mentioned that you had a 2-year-old, what do you think, or have you thought about what that parenting is going to look like for her?
Yes. So I'm definitely like, she definitely is bringing out a different side of me. Because for like again, I've had boys for the past 14 years, well 12 years, and so when I found out I was having a daughter, like my whole, I don't know, persona, way, character, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Like I purposely wanted to change that because again, like I said, by having boys, I was very hard. I'm tough. Like, hey, this is what it is. We finna get it done. Just again because I thought that's what I needed to be. I needed to be tough. I needed to be hard because I had boys. You're not finna run over me. Like we're not gonna have none of that extra 4 times the testosterone on me. So, like, you lucky if you buck if you want to, we can go there. But with having her coming, like, I purposely, like, intentionally, like, make sure I don't yell a lot. Make sure I don't, if I'm upset about something, make sure I go sit somewhere, like, figure out why am I upset?
mhm.
Why is this bothering me? Why am I upset? What emotion is this bringing? Okay, let me figure that out. Like just purposely being softer on purpose because I don't want her to grow up being, yeah, you can, she gonna
Urgh,
grow up being, yeah, she gonna be tough anyway because she have 4 boys, but I don't want her growing up thinking that I have to be tough, I have to be hard because I have to, because that's how my mama was. My mama was tough, my mama was hard. No, I need her to be a girly girl. Like it's okay to be soft. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Like, I don't know, the if femininity, be feminine. It's okay. Like,
Right.
you don't in certain situations, cool, but all the time, you don't have
not
to
all the
be like
time.
that. Like, you don't need to be like that. It's okay to just be
So I
cool.
so I think this is a good segue for us to go ahead and take a shift in the conversation and let's get a kid's perspective on this. So we're going to have a little special guest come in and give us his thoughts on what parents do that he thinks is a mistake. So we're going to give Jadon a chance to turn his camera on.
Hi,
Hey,
Hey,
nephew,
Jaden.
Hi.
how are you?
good. How are you?
Good.
Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. We asked for you to join this discussion because we just want to talk to you and we just want to ask you if you would share with us as parents, what are some things that you think parents do that's wrong or that you don't understand or that you don't like?
Okay.
Go ahead.
So who are you first?
I'm Jadon. I'm 14 years old.
Okay.
Um, so one of the mistakes that I think that my parents do at home is that I get in trouble for small things. Like if I say like if I forget to pick some up off the floor, or if there's like a piece of trash that I didn't notice, or yeah, mostly just that. Like when there's little bitty things, they tend to get a they tend to get they tend to get a little mad when I don't pick it up, but I don't see it.
Okay, so we get
Okay.
you're getting in trouble for something you didn't see. Okay, I understand that.
So that's considered small to you?
Well, I mean, if I was a parent,
You're in a
it
safe
would.
space. Okay. Say what's on
If
your
Yeah.
mind. You don't
if
have
I
to
was if I was a
you don't have
parent,
to choose your words.
if I was a parent, I would have done the same thing, but I would have done it a little differently.
Okay. Give us an example.
Like let's say my son or daughter, son or daughter walks over a piece of trash, I'm not gonna I'm gonna let them know that they I would say I would say I know that you didn't I hope that you oh okay.
It's okay.
It's all right.
If you didn't see the piece of okay. If I saw my kid walk over a piece of trash, I would stop them and say, "Did you see that piece of trash on the floor?" And if they say no, then I won't argue with them or say something. I'll just tell them, "Could you please pick it up?" Instead of going through all this trouble to getting mad at them about a piece of paper that they most likely probably didn't see.
Okay.
Because a lot of people don't look down. A lot of people don't look down when they're walking, so they can't see what's on the floor. For me, example, I don't walk with my head down. I walk with my head up to see where my surroundings are.
Okay, come on,
So,
Jaden.
so when I walk up. I walk facing the direction I'm going in. That way, I don't hurt myself while I'm walking. So I'm not gonna see everything on look. Not ever gonna see everything that's down on my feet because I'm not specifically looking down in that direction.
Okay. What's
Okay.
something else?
Something else is that wait, like as in like what I do for my kid or what happens at home.
Either one.
In general.
And another thing that I would do with my kid is that sometimes parents tend to not understand where the child's coming from.
Mm.
Like, let's say your son, um, let's say your son was him and his kid were arguing. He said something, the other kid said something. Some parents, and like they say they got into a fight. He punches him. The other kid punched him first. Some parents, a lot of parents get mad at their children for sticking up for themselves instead of I mean, I'm not saying it's good to just hit people. I'm saying that some parents get mad at their children for standing up for themselves. And a lot of kids feel like the parents are just wanting them to get beat up
Oh,
because
not beat up.
not beat up, but like picked
Oh,
on. You know what I mean?
No, but that makes sense. I'm
yeah,
saying because it makes sense. And hearing from your perspective as a parent, we don't always look at it that way. Like, so no, you're right. Keep going.
Nothing in parent, and also in parents' eyes, they see some parents see the things that are wrong with what we're doing.
Come on,
Like,
Jaden.
oh,
like,
Help
help
us
me
out.
out.
like they see what's wrong with what we're doing. They don't usually see or try to see what the good that we do. Like
Okay.
if I mistakes are gonna happen though.
Okay.
So if I was a parent, I would look for the good things instead of always looking for my kid to do something to do something that's suspected.
That's good.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like
Yeah.
like I wouldn't just think, oh man, you're gonna forget this again. He's gonna do that again. I would be like, I'm positive that my son's gonna do this. I'm positive that he's gonna remember to do that. Because
Okay.
if you think that your son is gonna do something bad, or you think your son's gonna forget something, and you're wishing that, like I'm not wishing, my bad,
Right,
my
right, right.
my bad trigger words, not wishing, but thinking that he's gonna do the same thing, it's most likely gonna happen because the parent is thinking that his son's always gonna do something wrong, and you have to encourage. And sometimes another thing, I like to spend time with my parents.
Okay.
Like me, like sometimes me and my mom, we have series we watch, we have shows we watch together. That for a child, in my opinion, helps them growth and able to talk to their parents about anything.
Okay.
Because when you're sitting down with your parents, enjoying time, that's your safe space. When you're with your parents, you're having a good time, and your parents are not criticizing you about things or telling you telling you what you're doing wrong, some kids feel like I could talk to you guys about this and not necessarily get mad, but be understanding and think of consequences or things that could help that kid do something better than what he did in the first place.
Okay.
That's
So
good,
what's something you
Jamie.
think as a kid when you get older and you're a parent, what's something you think you're going to do with your kids?
I'm gonna do with my kids. I thought about this a lot. If I ever have kids, I'm gonna try my best to spend a lot of time with my kids because a lot of kids out here are growing up not spending time with their family, not talking to their moms anymore, not talking to their sisters or brothers because they didn't spend that much time together, so they don't have those enjoyable memories together.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm not just gonna let my child walk over me. I'm gonna have discipline in my household. I'm
So,
gonna
what is
have
the form of discipline you think you would use?
I'm not gonna whoop my child. I don't do that. Mm. I don't want to whoop my child. Like how my parents do, they'll take away my TV, take away my phone, that type of stuff. I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm also gonna give them a learning and teach them that this is what's gonna happen if you do this again. And it's not just gonna be the same thing, it's gonna be different varieties of things.
Okay. Help the people.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Help
space it
people.
out. I'm not just gonna take away your phone every single time you do something bad. No, there's gonna be a different consequence for everything that you do. Like let's say
Okay.
and if it's like maybe talking in class, you're still gonna get in trouble for talking in class, but I'm not gonna go full blown yelling at you and screaming not screaming but yelling at you about it. I'm gonna say it's gonna be this first warning. This I'm gonna have warnings about it. So I'm gonna say, okay, this is your first warning. You got to maybe you got to go to bed early now. You know, you have a specific time limit on your TV and phone. So that's gonna be one of my warnings. My second warning is taking away their phones and electronics for about a week, maybe. And my third warning, which is the final warning, is going to be a bigger punishment. Like let's say my kid is like what 16,
Mm,
taking away
okay.
his. I'm gonna take a if this is if I'm this is my third warning with my 6-year old kid. I'm gonna take away his car, his key,
So
not
you
his
hear
car, but
that
his
he want a
key.
car at 16.
Oh, we talked about it already. He think he gonna get one at 15. He gonna be working at 15. So yeah, we already know he want a car at 16.
Like I'm gonna take away his keys, his those type of privileges.
Okay.
Okay.
Any last
So
minute comments? Anything you else you want to share? We do appreciate your feedback.
and just one more thing that I want to add is that some kids think that just be yeah, some kids think just because I'm sorry, some kids think that you're yelling at them just to yell at them.
Mm.
Mm.
They think it as you're just yelling at them because you want to yell at them.
How
And
does that make you
sometimes,
feel?
I mean, it makes me like if I was that type of kid, I would feel mad and sad. I think that might have a mindset of parents are just yelling at me all the time.
Mm.
So
Think they're projecting whatever they have going on in their
at
life
you,
on you.
at you, and you think that they're mad at you, like they think that you're just getting mad at them because something happened at your job or something like that.
So how would you like for us parents to handle that situation that you just described?
What I think will be best is that you would sit down with your child and have a talk about it. Like help him understand why you're yelling.
Mm.
Like I mean, because like if you yell at them, they're gonna get mad and angry, frustrated.
Do you think that parents get frustrated because kids don't listen? and that
Yes.
maybe the reason why parents yell is because parents have said things over and over again?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Well, a lot of times that's what's happening. But even in that, I'm not saying that you don't have. I'm not saying like yelling is a bad thing. I'm just saying like you help them understand why you're yelling at them. Tell them the reasons why you're mad at them, even though they should already know why. But help them understand that I'm not just yelling at you to yell at you.
Right.
I'm yelling at you because you did something that caused me to yell at you.
So I'm going to give you an opportunity right now to say one thing you want me to stop doing. What would that be?
I mean, there's nothing really. I'm being honest. There's nothing really.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for letting me pass the parent test. I get an A for right now. This is
Yes,
recorded,
ma'am.
so I'm gonna be able to go back to it and say, "Remember, you said I was."
That's not what
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
not gonna let her do that, Jade. I will not let her do that to you.
All right. Do y'all have any questions for Jadon before we let him go?
I asked my questions.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you
helping
for
me
your
understand.
feedback. Thank you.
And
We
being
appreciate your
transparent.
honesty. And thank you for trusting us to be able to share because this is a safe space. So you enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye,
Thank
Mom.
you.
Bye,
Bye.
Hi,
Honey.
Jaden.
Bye, Sister Felicia.
Bye.
All
Wow.
right, y'all.
I love that kid. Man, Papa, he was over here, pow, pow, tearing my hands up.
Me
Okay.
too. Me too. I was like, oh gosh. Oh
But
my
it
God.
made sense, right? The whole thing about the picking up the stuff that you don't see, because we do that a lot. I'm guilty. Like he was nice, but like you see stuff on the floor, pick it up. But in his mind, I didn't see it because I don't walk with my head down. Look, the simplicity of that is just like, okay, that make all the sense in the world, right? I don't walk with my head down. Even going in my room, I'm not looking at the floor, right?
Yeah,
But the way we see it
Yeah.
is, how can you not see it on the floor, right?
How can you not?
but
How can you not? Because even
I
with you looking with your head up, your peripheral, you walking into the room, you should still be able to scan your environment.
I get it from a kid's perspective though. If I'm walking from my room to the kitchen to get a snack, I don't care what's on that floor unless the snacks are on the floor. But hey, I'm focused on going to get that snack. I'm going to focus on going to get that meal. If I gotta
Right.
go to the bathroom, I gotta go. I'm not thinking about
Right,
whatever else is
right.
around. I'm trying to get there. So he made that very plain and simple. I'm
Okay.
not looking on the ground.
Right.
Because I walk with my head up.
Up.
Okay.
I was
So
like,
Okay,
any
Jada.
get it,
Okay. Any
Jaden.
final thoughts for us? Like anything, I feel like, we could go on and on, right, if we really think about it. But I think the important thing is we know we make mistakes, right?
Mhm,
Like we said,
mhm.
hindsight is 2020, but really being able to look back and just evaluate ourselves. And I think it's important too, especially for us that still have kids that we're raising, right? To be able to take some of those things in consideration and not look at this as parents like you just don't mess up, right? Like we're
Right.
not perfect people. So if we're not perfect people, we're not going to be perfect parents, and we're going to do things that's wrong. But being open, right, to realizing like, hey, maybe you didn't say that right. And I am a firm
Mhm.
believer in apologizing to my kids. I
Oh, I
believe
was
it's
just getting ready
very
to say
important
that.
to say, hey, I'm sorry. I did not mean to say that like that. Like, and even hearing the kids' perspective, right, with the yelling, being more aware, being more conscious, right, of not having to yell, being able to.
Mhm. Absolutely. And then the thing of it is, it's not for the three of us, there was no books on, I
Still is
mean, they
not.
were, what'd you say?
I said there still isn't one to tell you how to be a perfect parent.
How to be a perfect parent, because
Uh-uh.
there is no such thing as a perfect parent. And even we see, hey, the Bible is telling us how to parent, but then there's some, like you said, the spare the rod, you know, the rod of correction. Even that is okay. There's different forms of it. It
Right. You
doesn't
still have to be
necessarily.
taught. I think you still have to be taught how to use that rod of correction correctly.
Yeah.
Correct. Because again, what worked for one kid is not going to necessarily work for the other kid.
I
Yeah.
So
agree.
we got to have conversations.
And for
Um,
me, the age gap, I had to do it different. I used to find, and I still say it, right? How different the girl was 10 years ago than now the boy was. And they were just so different. And I would say, man, I used to be able to, mistakes we make, I used to be able to just pop a strawberry shortcake in on that DVD, on that VHS then, and go back to sleep, right? Like mistakes we make. So,
Mm-mm.
but Jaden was not like that. He was too busy. He was up. He would not be still. So I couldn't just pop in and say, "Okay, watch this." And I knew she wasn't going nowhere at least until that movie went off. But he
right.
Yeah.
was the opposite. So even in that, like you said, each kid requires something different. And so just taking that into consideration with the mistakes that we make, right? Each kid is different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
all
this
right. I
was
want
a
to
good episode.
Good
I would,
conversation. Always, always. Thank you, Felicia, for joining us
yes.
and
Thank
just
you for
tuning in
having
with
me.
us as we have a conversation. And so we thank you guys for listening. And again, as always, we always are welcome to guests. If you have topic ideas, comment, share, email us, message us on wherever you're listening to this, wherever you're watching this. We're always open to the feedback and again, suggestions for topics.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
See you next time.